to really give you a whistle-stop tour and overview of our new cloud product, CCH OneClick. So, what can you expect from this webinar? What I'm going to do, first of all, is I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview, really giving you some background and some more information and context as to what CCH OneClick is all about, and in particular give you the context so that Natasha and Dean can then show you a live CCH OneClick demonstration of the product and show you really all the features that we have in there. That will follow a Q&A session, and that will really depend on any questions that you send through to us on the webinar. If we have too many, we may not be able to answer them all this session, but we will surely follow up with any answers to any that we can't answer in the time that we have today. So let's start on really giving you the background around CCH OneClick and why we built CCH OneClick. What's really important here is that when we build new product, and in particular cloud products, we're looking at your pain points and the challenges you have in your market today. Because if we can resolve those pain points and we can make life better for accountants in the UK and use technology to do that, that's going to really be worth your while taking the solution from us and migrating your products into the new technologies. So then when we started looking at CCH OneClick a few years ago, we really looked at what your pain points were. The first area that came up for us was supporting multiple accounting systems. Now, what this is all about is, I don't think I've been into any practice in the UK that isn't using more than just one accounting system. Many of you on the line will be using multiple accounting systems, both to support work that you receive in from your clients to do the bookkeeping on behalf of your clients, but also in a lot of cases, your clients are using their choice of bookkeeping product. And then they're asking you to review and collaborate through that bookkeeping product. So you as advisors have to effectively need to know how to use many accounting systems from the likes of Xero, QuickBooks, Free Agent, etc. And there's many, as you know, out there in the market. Now, historically, what we've been doing with integrating with bookkeeping systems in Wolters Kluwer is that we've had integration available, which has really taken an import-export functionality. So you've taken a CSV trial balance from the accounting system, and that's been imported into your accounts production product to really drive some efficiency. However, we've taken really one step further with this, and a huge step further. Through open integration, which is a feature of CCH OneClick, we can now make a permanent link to online accounting systems, and that permanent link will allow us to bring transactional data from the online accounting system into CCH OneClick on a nightly basis. Now then we have live access to that data, that transactional data. That means then we can use that data as we wish, consume it for various different activities in your practice. So for example, one activity could be data into accounts production. Another activity could be making tax digital and quarterly reporting. So open integration is really driving huge efficiencies and allowing our users to continue to support multiple accounting systems without having to be trained on all of them. Another really important feature of this is that we also have the ability to adjust back, make data adjustments back from our system back into those accounting systems, and that's something that we would like to show you today as part of the demonstration. Another area that we looked at from a feature set was really accountants have difficulties in collecting data from clients, in particular on an annual basis for tax returns. And historically, that's That's been where you've sent out information requests to your clients at the start of the tax year, and then you're hoping that your clients will send you back all the information very promptly to get the tax return completed as soon as you can. But what that tends to turn into is many accountants have to chase for data and items of data, and it's a very manual process sending data in. So as part of CCH OneClick, we've been building a collection of digital data collection tools to really help streamline that whole process, hopefully make it much more fun for you and your clients in terms of using new technology, cloud technologies, and driving efficiency. Another area that we've constantly seen is where if a practice isn't using Citrix or terminal services technology, the employees cannot get access to the on-premise data, so things like CCH Central client contacts, etc. So we've built, as part of CCH OneClick, a practice mobile app called CCH Practice Mobile, and this allows all your employees to get access to your contacts in your database when out of the office. Another area very important is that both you as well as your clients want everything in one place. You don't want to be moving across different systems. So a key feature of CCH OneClick is to bring all of these cloud tools into a single workspace for you and your client. Before we go on to the demonstration, and to give you a little bit more context around some of these areas, I'd like to give you some more information about open integration to really sort of start to illustrate what we mean by open integration. So we have many bookkeeping products out in our market today that you and your clients are using. We have banks, and we know that banks in time will be bringing their data into the HMRC digital tax account. We also have CCH OneClick here with CCH Central, and CCH OneClick comprises of two workspaces, the advisor workspace and the client workspace. Now, we know that all the bookkeeping products that you're using today will have a feature built into them by probably 2019 for VAT and 2020 for quarterly reporting, to report data from those bookkeeping systems up into HMRC to support quarterly reporting. The problem with that is that if you are using multiple accounting systems, and potentially your clients are using accounting systems as well, you will not have one single place where you can monitor what quarterly reporting reports have gone up to HMRC, and it'd be really difficult for you to monitor deadlines and ensuring that where your client's taking responsibility for that reporting, that you can see that reporting happening. So as I said, open integration is about delivering a permanent link between CCH OneClick and those accounting systems there shown as the blue line. That means that transactional data comes from those systems on a 24-hour basis into our system. And we have the ability not only to take that data and bring that from those accounting systems, we also have the ability to then review that data and post transactions adjustments back into those accounting systems. So that's just to give you an overview of really pictorially of what open integration is all about. Very importantly then, once we have access to that data, we can then report data from there up into HMRC. And very, very importantly, and really something that everybody on the call should be looking at right now, is the ability to connect to the HMRC digital tax account and take data from HMRC up into our system as well, and use that to pre-populate your tax return going forward. And we'll cover that in a little bit more information later in this webinar. Another area I talked about was the digital data collection area. And again, just as an illustration and something that we can show you today, we have a digital data request app. It's a mobile app. Today that's working on Android and really it was built as a concept first of all to see if our customers wanted something like this, and they do. So we will be rolling that out into iOS later down the line. But initial bit of feedback we've had is, well, actually many of my clients may not want to have an app right now, but they'd be very interested in having a web browser. So that's being built out right now as a web browser and will be available in Q3 of this year. Obviously, moving forward, we're requesting data from our clients, and that data may come through both manually. They still may carry on giving you pieces of paper, but also through things like a web browser and a digital data request app. We need somewhere in our system to actually see all of that data, review it before taking it into the tax return. And as part of CCH OneClick, we've got a new feature called Digital Data Review. And this enables you as the advisor to really review all the data coming in digitally in one place. And finally, part of the digital data collection toolset, one really major piece of feedback over the last year with Making Tax Digital is where many of your clients may fall under the Making Tax Digital threshold in the future, but many of those will not be using and may not want to use a bookkeeping product. So what we're building right now is a digital recording effectively solution which will sit in CCH OneClick and effectively look and feel like a spreadsheet, and really would replace any spreadsheet type work that your clients do today, but very simple way of recording transactions without the use of a bookkeeping product. But what that means for you is that it's a tool that you can collaborate, you can use yourself on behalf of your clients, or your clients can use it, but then that will give you all the data you need to then quarterly report that data into HMRC. And that's coming, it's likely to come in Q3/Q4 this year. So just to finish off the background session of this webinar, I've mentioned a number of pain points, and I've also mentioned Making Tax Digital a number of times. We do see that Making Tax Digital really is exaggerating some of the pain points I've already spoken about. Making Tax Digital will drive the need to have greater access to online accounting, because you need that access in order for you to be able to quarterly report and meet those deadlines. We know that under Making Tax Digital, digital data capture is mandatory. So we know you need to be using, your clients need to be using tools to actually capture that data. Now, this is an interesting one, but quarterly reporting will affect responsibilities. We're also very aware that in many cases, you will be having conversations with your clients in terms of who is responsible for the quarterly reporting. And that word responsibility is important, because as part of our solution that we deliver, we need to ensure that there's functionality in there that you can monitor deadlines and who is reporting when, up into HMRC effectively. And we will have facilities and configuration in CCH OneClick enabling you to set responsibility levels for your clients under the Making Tax Digital toolset. And finally, data collection processes. They are becoming more complicated just by the fact that HMRC now has digital data that we can take and bring into the tax return. So that will affect your processes, hence why we are delivering the digital data collection tools. So CCH OneClick is our solution, and really it's a cloud tool set that all the tools and features in CCH OneClick are about complementing what you have today. So firstly, we have the Making Tax Digital Toolkit within CCH OneClick, and that will include access to the digital tax account, bringing data, pre-populating your tax return, quarterly reporting, as well as VAT filing, which is coming a little bit later this year. Open integration, which I've explained to you in some detail in terms of making permanent connections to online bookkeeping products. A collection of digital data tools for you to help you more efficiently collect data from your clients, as well as a practice mobile app to allow your employees to get instant access to your central data. And very importantly, a client workspace for your clients, just like you have with the portal today, as well as the advisor workspace, where all these tools sit for you to use. So CCH OneClick is about having two connected workspaces, the advisor workspace and the client workspace, and they are customized to the tool set that each of those people need. The advisor has the advisor tools, client has their own tools to run their business. Our vision with CCH OneClick is really all about helping you become digital and connecting you not just with the systems that you use in your office, but actually connecting you properly using cloud to your clients and to the wider ecosystem of solutions out there. So what I'd like to do now is I'd like to hand over to my colleague Natasha Kobrak, who's going to start the live demonstration today.
Thank you very much, Wendy. Thank you very much. Okay, so I'm going to start this demo by showing the client side of the OneClick workspace. Wendy mentioned in detail some of the pain points that we have today, especially around collecting data and communicating between advisors and their clients. The reason we have these issues are threefold. We have the legacy issue of advisors trying to get information from their clients regularly in order to complete tax returns or in order to do their compliance work. And obviously, advisors spend a lot of time getting this information back. They spend a lot of time collecting data. They spend a lot of time trying to collect the right data and a lot of time trying to collect the data on time in order for them to do the work that they need to do. So this is an issue. This is probably the #1 issue across many advisors today. This issue is only going to be exacerbated when Making Tax Digital comes into effect, because obviously as we start looking at a more iterative wave of collecting data and bringing data back in and reporting data back to the HMRC, that pain point of having to collect the data is going to be iterated several times during the year. So the need to be able to communicate and to be able to get that data back efficiently becomes even more pronounced. And thirdly, obviously, we have GDPR. GDPR means that we need to be able to query the information that we have on our clients and communications that have been had much more effectively. And we have found a big influx of practices looking to us for collaboration tools in order to be able to handle their GDPR compliance processes, because obviously when you start moving your collaboration online and you start holding that collaboration online, it becomes a lot easier afterwards to query that data. If you do get any clients asking for how their data is being used, or if they want you to delete that data, we have a whole tool set in place in order to allow you to report and delete data across all of our on-premise and online products. So this is why collaboration is so important. So starting off this demonstration, as I said, this is the client's OneClick workspace, and the big ticket item for the client for the first release of OneClick is the message and document exchange. So you can see here, this is the message and documents area sitting within OneClick, and for any users who are familiar with our old portal solution that's been around for many years now, we have simply integrated our portal solution and rebadged it as messages and documents. It now sits within OneClick, and you will be able to use that for free within OneClick. So if I dive into the messages and documents area, I'll talk a little bit about how that works, especially for those who are not familiar with our old portal solution. The way Portal has worked historically is that advisors are able to send messages to their clients from within CCH Central. So there is a message center in Central where they can go ahead and they can communicate with their clients. They can send documents. They can actually use this across any of the compliance products. So if they're within personal tax or accounts production or document management, they can any documents that create in these areas can be with a click of a button, can be published up into this messages and documents area straight for the client to be able to log in and see. And historically has very much been the advisor using Central to manage these communications, and the client using their online entrance. So we have created some more tools around that, especially on the advisor side. For the client, when he logs in, he will be able to see a list of communications that he's had across all of his compliance products with his advisor. You can see here a list of all the messages that have been had. You can see any documents that has been sent to him, and more importantly, you can see a document there to be approved. So one of the key features there of our messages and documents system is the ability to mark documents for a client to approve. You can choose which contact within that account needs to approve those documents, and once they've done that, you've got a nice little audit trail there of when that approval took place. So if I log into the messages area now, what you're going to see is an exchange of communication between the client and their advisor. So you can see all of that listed nicely in here. And if I go into the documents area, you'll be able to see documents that have been exchanged between the advisor and the client too. Now, again, the approval section here, if I log into this approval section, this is a document here that the client needs to approve. You can see here the checkbox that needs to be ticked, and then the client can go ahead and they can tick to either approve or reject that document. If they go ahead and press approve, what they will be prompted to do is they will be prompted to enter a password, their password for entering OneClick, just to double check that it is in fact them that is approving this document. So just a final confirmation of identity there, and then that approval has gone through, and it will be sent back for the advisor to be able to see within the message center in Central. So that is the client side, and that is a message and documents area that we have available for the clients. But what about for the advisor? Because obviously we've spoken about how historically the advisor has had to use Central in order to manage those communications. But with OneClick, we have a very exciting new feature there in order to manage the collaboration between them and their clients. We've started building out a messages and documents area for the advisor within OneClick. So you can see here the advisor's OneClick workspace and the messages and documents tile within it. If I go into here, I'd be able to see the messages that I've exchanged across all of my clients within OneClick. And if you think about a little bit about how historically client advisors have had to go into Central, maybe to a Citrix environment in order to manage these communications, obviously being able to build this out into an online environment is extremely useful, especially when they're out and about and on the road. But not just that, because we haven't just built a messages and documents area within the browser. We have also built a mobile application. And if I go into my mobile phone now, you're going to be able to see here, this is sharing here my mobile screen. So this is an app that is already available, and it's within the Apple App Store or within the Google Play Store. You will be able to download this app, but you do need OneClick credentials in order to log in. And what this app is called Practice Mobile, and it allows employees to be able to download it onto their phone, and when they have it on their phone, they can see all the messages and the communications they've had between themselves and their clients, and they can also see contact records from Central all on their mobile phone. So if I start off, I'm just going to go onto the top left-hand quadrant, which is the messages section, and click into there. What you're going to see in there is you're going to see messages that have come in across all of your clients if you are an advisor, and you can go ahead and you can read those messages. You can reply to them, you can create a new message if you want, so you can create a new message to any one of your clients, and you can attach documents straight from document management into that message, and you can set it to be approved by the client, so you can do all of that on the mobile phone. And probably most interestingly, you can actually forward any one of those messages on to another employee to action if you happen to be out of the office or on holiday or anything like that. So that is messages section within Practice Mobile. Secondly, I'll show you the bottom left-hand quadrant, which is the contacts area. So if I go into that now, what you're going to see in here is you are going to see your most recently actioned contacts in Central appearing on this screen. So you can go ahead and, if you've used anyone previously, you can go ahead and go into there. But if you do want to search for any of your other contacts in Central, you can just go ahead and use that search facility at the bottom to enter their name or their client code and pick any number of clients that you want to view and drill into them through there. So in this scenario, I'll choose Tony Stark, who is my usual victim for these demos. If I go ahead and click into his client record now, you can see in here, you can see his email address. If you go ahead and click on that, you'll be able to send him an email from there. If you go ahead and click on this phone number, you will place a call to him. You've got his address as well, and you've also got associated contacts at the bottom. So these are contacts that are actually linked to his client's account. And then across the top, you're going to see the members of the client team that deal with him. If you drill into there, you will see messages that you've exchanged with him through our messages and document solution, and also any documents as well that you have for that client. So again, all of this available on your mobile phone through the Practice mobile app. Now, if I go back now to my home page, I'll show you here the bottom right-hand area. I have a document screen which will show you all of your documents from document management in there. You can see my phone's taking, the screen sharing taking a little bit of time to refresh there because it appears okay on my phone. Here we go. If I just go down there, you can see all the documents there from document management. And again, you'll have a long list of documents in there, so you can choose to search for any one of those or refine to find the right document that you need. So that is the Practice mobile app. We do have another area in here, which is a tasks area. We haven't launched that for this version yet, but what we're looking to achieve in this area is to show lists of upcoming tasks that you're going to have across all of your clients. So again, this is Practice Mobile, again, available today within the App Store for the Apple phones or within the Play Store for Android phones, and available for your employees. Right, so moving on from the Practice mobile app, I'm going to go back onto the advisor side of OneClick. So you can see here that on the advisor side, you've got many, many tiles, and we've really focused on building out the advisor online toolkit for the first version. You'll be able to see a large amount of tiles in different colors. So the blue ones are Wolters Kluwer products, so the products that we have made in-house. But we also have some tiles in white, which are third-party products that we are making available for you to be able to access through OneClick. So you can see here a couple of bookkeeping products. I can actually add some more if I click on the tile section and choose any number of booking products that I want to add into here. And the idea is to create a really bespoke, customizable area for your accountants and also for your clients, and to have something really bespoke to you. And again, part of our roadmap is looking at eventually integrating and allowing you to add your own products in there. So if you have anything that you've developed in-house or anything particularly niche that you use and you share across your employees and your clients, part of our roadmap is to look at allowing you to surface these things within the advisor's OneClick workspace. Now, you can see here across the right-hand side, we've got an activity feed. That activity feed is a constant feed of information and activities from both external and internal sources. So externally, we have news articles that you can customize. You can choose which type of articles are of interest. So maybe personal tax or accounts production, any kind of articles that are interested to you. You can choose and select the ones that you wish to receive. We have links to social media, so you can see here the ability to be able to follow Twitter profiles or to be able to follow some hashtags and trending topics, and you can add those into your activity feed. But probably most interestingly, we also have a lot of internal notifications as well. So you can see one example here, the documents that I approved as Tony Stark earlier is appearing here a notification around that on here. So we're really looking to build out a lot of notifications across things that are happening internally within your central ecosystem, but also things that are coming out externally, just to give you the information that you need to do your work on a day-to-day basis. So looking again at some of our products here that we have in the accountant workspace, I'm actually going to focus now on open integration and pass over to my colleague Dean Shepherd, who looks after the compliance products, who's going to talk to us a little bit more about that.
Thank you, Natasha. Really excited today to demonstrate for you the open integration functionality that we've got within CCH OneClick. As an accountant for the past 20 years, this really does solve some of the daily pain points that I would experience when working on my clients' accounts. And let me demonstrate how that's going to work. So what open integration is really is a permanent connection to your client's online bookkeeping system of choice, and this is a permanent two-way connection. So as you can see here, we've got a dashboard that will present some information on the business clients that you have and which of those you will have set up for the integration. This dashboard itself will evolve on the feedback that we get from our users and what you would like to see in this area. If I click into my list of clients, so this connects to the central database and all your team security settings flow through into this. So I can only view the clients here that I am responsible for. And these are any clients that have a business and therefore a potential open integration need. All these columns that you see in front of you are sortable and searchable, so you can locate the particular client that you want. And you'll notice on the end we've got a status column, and that will indicate whether that particular client has been activated for an open integration connection. So I've got one set up here, Stark Industries, Tony Stark's sole trade business. And this is the setup screen. So we can see here that I've already connected it to a Xero data source. The sources that we have available at the moment are Xero, QuickBooks, Sage 1, Exact, and Twinfield. We'll continue to add online bookkeeping products to the list as we continue to develop the product. So if we hadn't set up that connection, then we would do so from this screen. We do have a few other options here. We've got a mapping section that is really more to do with quarterly reporting, which Natasha will talk to you about a little bit later in this presentation. The data, we have a section that holds all the data that we've pulled down from the online bookkeeping source. So this is full transactional data. And we hold it in a sort of data reservoir, a cloud database that sits between your central database and the online database of whichever source that we've got. Again, all these columns are searchable and sortable, and I wouldn't necessarily expect you to be looking through data in here, but you can always see what live data we are holding. Now, our system will sync overnight every night, so that you do have a constant update of data held within the system. You can also manually sync the data at any time of your choosing by using the sync button down here on the right. So let me just demonstrate a practical application of this functionality. I'm going to switch over to a screen that you're probably quite familiar with if you're a CCH Central user. So what I've done here is gone into accounts production within CCH Central and gone to the linked Stark Industries client. And what I've done here is set up a brand new accounting period for this client. So I'm going to open that up now. And as we'll see, there's no data in here at the moment. So we've got a blank trial balance. Now, if I was acting for this client and preparing the year-end accounts, knowing that all their data is in Xero, what I would be doing today before installing CCH OneClick is coming out of Central going into my web browser, logging into Xero, finding Stark Industries in my list of clients within Xero, going into Stark Industries, going to the TB. I would set the year end for the trial balance. Then I'd export that as a CSV file. I would then come out of my browser, go to Excel. I'd open up that CSV file. I would probably play around with the formats and the headings a little bit just to make sure that we can import that into accounts production seamlessly. Then I'd come back into Central, go to the import function within accounts production and get my trial balance into the software. Now, that is certainly better than taking a trial balance and manually typing it in line by line into accounts production, but it's still quite a protracted process. What we have now is this sync with open integration option. Now, anybody who's a TwinField user will be used to this functionality because we've always had the sync with TwinField option within accounts production for some time now. But what we've done is extend that out through CCH OneClick's open integration module so that we can connect to other data sources and not just TwinField. So if I click the synchronize button now, what will happen is it will pull in all the trial balance data and map it to the chart of accounts that we've got in accounts production. Now, when you first do this, there are always going to be a few codes that pop up that don't quite match to our expectations. So for example, this client here has got a motorbike running costs code, which is not a particularly regular one. So what we'll do now is just find an appropriate code within accounts production to map that to. So we'll put that to just a normal motor running costs, and then that goes. So that's pulled in the full trial balance from Xero. Now, with that mapping, now that I've set that mapping so that motorbike running costs goes into motor running costs within accounts production, I won't need to do that ever again. That is stored, that mapping for this particular client. You also have the option of extending those mappings practice-wide. So if you have mapped regular accounts and you're perfectly happy for every client that has that particular nominal account entry to go to the same place, then you can extend those mappings practice-wise, so you wouldn't even have to do this for other clients. So if now I go onto the trial balance, here we can see we've got the full trial balance for the client from Xero into accounts production, and a much quicker process than what you would otherwise use today. Now, as well as importing the trial balance, our open integration connection is a full transaction by transaction source of data. So we can click into each of these nominal accounts and see the full nominal ledger behind them. So we're not just importing the trial balance, we're importing the full nominal ledger. So if I'm now going to be working on these accounts, I don't have to keep flicking between different products. I can see the full nominal ledger here. And what we've also done is, if you did want to locate this transaction back in the original bookkeeping source, under this batch reference column, we've pulled in the transaction ID from the bookkeeping source. So where you've got items like we've got on screen that have got matching descriptions, the amounts are all very similar, it might not be quite so straightforward to locate that back in the original bookkeeping system. You can search for that transaction ID to identify exactly where that came from. Now, the other big advantage that we have with this permanent link to the client's bookkeeping package is that that link is two-way. So most links that you'll find with other software products are one-way. You get to pull all the data in, but you don't get to put the data back. And a big pain point for me with pretty much every accountant's job that I would have done where a client has their own bookkeeping system is, once the job is done, dusted, you've signed it all off, what do you do about the year-end journals? So if you want the year-end journals put back properly into the client's records, then you'd probably be doing that yourself. If you find that by this point you've blown the budget and you're on to the next job and you don't really want to reopen a job that you finished 3 months ago and you've just been waiting for the client to sign off, then perhaps you write out those journals and send them to the client to get into their own system. That has the risk, of course, that they're not going to put everything back in the same place. So really, I've always wanted some kind of system where all the adjustments I've made, we can just fire back into the client's bookkeeping. That's exactly what we can do with open integration. So it works in exactly the same way. So when we click the synchronize button to pull all the data from open integration into accounts production, any adjustments that we've made here, and we're at the point where we want to sync those back up, we can press the synchronize button again, and all those journal adjustments that we've made will fire straight back into our open integration module within CCH OneClick. Now that doesn't go immediately up into the client's bookkeeping system. What that'll do is sit in our data reservoir in between, and then that will sync automatically overnight, every night. So for example, where you might want to restrict which members of your staff use which elements of the software, you may not want your accounts production people accessing CCH OneClick itself. You might want them just to work within accounts production. They have the ability to send that data, and then CCH OneClick will take care of the rest. If you do want to do a manual sync, so you want that data to go up straight away, then you can do that exactly the same way as if you brought the data down. You can use this sync button at the bottom right, where you'll do an immediate sync back into Xero. So the big advantages really of open integration are that permanent link to multiple bookkeeping systems, all accessible from one source from CCH OneClick. That link being a two-way connection, so it's data coming down and sending data back up, and the fact that it is full transactional data that we're pulling down, not just trial balance totals. So that's how open integration works in a practical application. So I'll now hand back over to Natasha, who's going to talk a little bit more about CCH OneClick.
Thank you very much, Dean. Wonderful. So having looked at open integration, another product that I would like to talk a little bit about now is our Making Tax Digital area. So you can see here the Making Tax Digital tile. We've created a vast amount of tools here to support our journey to digitalizing tax. Obviously, Making Tax Digital did have a delay on the HMRC side, so quarterly reporting is not yet upon us. We do have a lot of tools in place already that people can use today straight away as part of their day-to-day work. Now, within the Making Tax Digital area, I'm going to go into my client's screen. You can see a client list here, which is generated from Central. So all of the clients that you can see on here are synchronized up from Central. They respect any team security that you may have in place. So if there's any clients here that a particular member cannot see or should not be able to see, he will not see it in this section either. I'm going to choose my usual suspect, who is Tony Stark, and I will open his Making Tax Digital record up. Now you can see here several tabs running across the screen with lots of different features here for us to be able to use. Now, some of you may already be using the digital tax account area within Central. So a few months ago, we released a PDF that will appear if you happen to be within personal tax and you can you're working on your client's record, you can click digital tax account and it will bring up a PDF with that information that is pulled down from the HMRC right into a PDF on in Central. And a lot of people have been using that to great effect. It's been very, very useful, especially in the last tax season. What we've done for OneClick is we've really souped up that particular area. So if I go into digital tax account within here, I will see a few tax years that I can choose from. I'm going to choose 2017-18. Now, for the purposes of this demo, I'm linked up to the HMRC sandbox environment, and you will be able to see here information that I have keyed in the sandbox environment, as obviously I can't log into a live client for this. What you're going to see, the big difference for any of you who have used the area that we have available today within Central, is you're going to see a bit of a difference here. What we're doing for OneClick is that you will be able to see that information within the OneClick browser, but if you are within personal tax, you can still click on that digital tax account button and you will see this area, the same browser window appearing when you've clicked that button. So you will see it through Central as well. And what you can see here on the main screen is all information that's held for that client within the digital tax account. So if you can see here some employment information, if there's any areas that HMRC do not hold information for that client, you will see a record of that here as well. Marriage allowance, you can see a whole lot of information here for this particular client. But not only that, what we've also built on the right hand side, you can see here a little panel, and what this shows you is it shows you the equivalent information on these areas for the client that is held within personal tax in Central. So any information that you have in these areas in Central will be showed in here, and you will be able to compare and contrast between the information that you have here in Central and the information that you have in that main panel that is the information held within the digital tax account area. So that is going to be very useful, because you will want to refer back in order to make a judgment call as to whether you want to pull down that information that's held within the digital tax into your personal tax return. Now, historically, what people have had to do with the PDF that we've had to date is they open up that PDF and then they have to kind of manually type in all the information into the personal tax record, and had to do that. And I think we did a bit of a count there, and we had an estimate of 8 minutes per tax return that this would take a user in order to do that. What we have done for our latest release is we have built the ability for you to be able to push that information down into personal tax instead of having to type it in one by one. So you can see here all the areas that you've got in here. And if I wanted to tick one of them, so I can go ahead and choose to tick one of these options now, and I can go ahead and I can press commit to CCH personal tax, and what that will do is it'll push that information down into personal tax without me having to type it in. So if you think a little bit about the efficiency saver there that you would have, being able to push all this information down in one go, there really is a lot of benefit in that particular area. So that is the digital tax account area for the client. And so we've spoken a lot about, through open integration, about pulling information through from the bookkeeping products. We've spoken a lot about pulling this information from the HMRC and the digital tax account. But what about collecting information from clients? Because you will still need to be collecting that quite regularly. What we have done is we have created an app. And I'm going back onto my mobile phone now to show you the digital data request app, and this is available for your clients. So as Wendy mentioned, this is available currently on the Play Store. It was a proof of concept that we did to push it out to the Play Store, but we are looking at the iPhone version, and we are looking at a browser-based version, which will probably be coming before the iPhone version, as we feel that that is a real catch-all for all types of clients. And the idea behind this app is that an advisor can be working on a whole bunch of clients, and they can go ahead and they can send from Central a bulk digital information request to a whole bunch of clients, and a client that has this application will then receive a list of all the sources of income, and this is based on the previous tax year. It will send a list of all these sources of income for them to be able to complete that information and send it back to their advisor. So if I look here at the source of income I have available here, if I go to income from UK property now, I'm going to click into there. And what you're going to see in here is you're going to see information that's based on the previous year. So you can the client can compare a little bit about what they're about to put in. They can enter the information that is requested for the the year that's being worked on at the moment and any tax deducted. And they can also go ahead and they can actually take a photo of any supporting documentation. So this is where a mobile phone really lends itself to that situation, because you can just pick up your phone and take any supporting documents and attach them to that particular source of income. Outside of being able to submit information, what's also very interesting, if I go into the allowances section at the top, as a client, if I go into any area that has any digital tax account information, I will be able to see this through this app. So for example here, if there is a turquoise crown in any of the areas, this signals that it is digital tax information that's held by the HMRC. And it's very useful for the client, because even though they can't change it, so the way the process works is that they would have to go back to source if they want to change any of this information, they can through here confirm to the advisor whether they believe this information is correct or whether they believe it isn't correct. And if it is correct, then obviously the advisor knows that they can go ahead and action that information. And if it is not correct, the advisor will know that there will be a delay while the client goes and chases up, or the advisor chases that information and corrects it. So that is a digital tax account information that's available for the clients within the application. We also have an area at the bottom where you can go ahead and you can add any new source of income that you may have for this particular tax year that might not have been included in the previous year. So that is the data request area, and clients can use this to really break down some of the barriers that people have today in terms of sending information back quickly and knowing what information it is that they need to send. And as I mentioned, that is available today. It's in the Play Store for Android. So a client would need OneClick credentials in order to be able to log in and use it. Now, going back into my Making Tax Digital area, because I have spoken a lot about all these tools and all these tools that we have available today for you to use in your day-to-day. So information around the digital tax account and the data request app. But what about where we are moving to with the Making Tax Digital program? We have already built a quarterly reporting solution. If I click into here, you will be able to see what this solution, because what it does is, going back to the open integration proposition that we've mentioned, we can harness that open integration proposition in order to fuel the quarterly reporting process. So in this particular scenario, you'll recognize Stark Industries from the demonstration that Dean gave, and Stark Industries does have Xero as its bookkeeping provider. And if I go into here, I can see from Stark Industries, I can see all that information that's being pulled in from Xero as his bookkeeping provider of choice, and I can cycle through any quarters that I wish, and I can see the information that's held in here. And when I'm happy with the particular quarter, I can send it to HMRC through here. So all I need to do is press send to HMRC, and that will do the quarterly submission for Stark Industries in here. So that has been created, and you will see that that is available if you happen to be part of the beta program for the HMRC and you want to use this. Please let us know, because we would love to walk you through the process of using the quarterly reporting tools that we have. If you're not part of the beta program with HMRC and at some point you want to get involved, again, please let us know, because we do have a lot of information and collateral that we can send to you to guide you on how to get set up with HMRC to join this beta program. So that is our quarterly reporting solution, and that does wrap up my demonstration for OneClick. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pass over to Wendy, as we have a few questions that we'd like to give you some answers for.
Great. So thank you, Natasha and Dean. That was great. So what I'd like to, just a little bit of a summary. So CCH OneClick, hopefully you got the gist of it. A bit of a whistle-stop tour, really, but it's all about helping you to become more digital, collecting data in digitally, being able to report on data, and very much start to take some of those processes that you do more manually in CCH Central and make them become more digital. So everybody on this webinar will be using CCH Central, and so the big question that we get a lot of is, so how does CCH OneClick work with CCH Central? Well, right now, CCH OneClick is all about delivering a set of complementary cloud tools to CCH Central. The only area of it that it's really, I would say, enhancing existing on-premise data, on-premise feature set is really around the portal functionality today that we have, which Natasha explained and showed you. Everything else in CCH Central is brand new functionality that you don't have in CCH Central today. So you've got Central here. CCH OneClick is actually using and utilizing the CCH Central database. So it's taking all the list of clients. It uses CCH Central database to populate the client lists that you saw in Making Tax Digital in open integration to deliver you the clients and the contacts, etc. It delivers 2 workspaces, as we've shown you, and within those 2 workspaces, there's a whole raft of features, and that's just going to increase. And we're evolving those workspaces out, building out new features, and things like we've mentioned VAT filing, that will come as part of Making Tax Digital toolset. So we will continue to build out those tool sets. Very important to us as well is customization, because everybody on the line knows that in CCH Central today, you have personalized homepages. You'll see that at the bottom around Central. And our objective with these workspaces is that we will be able to customize then the workspaces for you and your clients. So what we're really aiming for is that you will be able to customize each client workspace appropriate to the client profile and how you're servicing your client going forward. Very, very important. This is the whizzy bit, but this is where we're then not just connecting with products and solutions that you have within your office. We're then connecting through open integration and using the cloud technology to other systems like HMRC and bookkeeping products. And we will continue, as Dean mentioned, to grow that connectivity out. So if you're interested in CCH OneClick, please contact your account manager and to look at the license. However, before we finish, there have been quite a few questions, and I'll just cover a few in the last 4 minutes. So we have everything that I don't manage to cover now, we will respond to, and we will send out to everybody with a copy of the slides as well as a copy of the recording. So one of the first questions we received was around how you deal with emails containing personal data that are going to third parties, such as banks or pension providers. I'm reading that question as if it's asking for information requests, or you're contacting a third party, which today you're probably emailing, but you're looking at how you would use the messaging, the collaboration function through the client workspace. Basically what you do is you would set up an associated contact for those third parties, and they would be associated with the client, which means that those contacts could have access to the messaging facility, and they could actually respond to things and be sent messages from the practice. So we do that as part of that functionality today. Somebody's also asked about what if, through open integration, you're bringing in data from Xero and then your client changes the data. So what happens with open integration today, as Dee mentioned, on a nightly basis, we take a feed from Xero, for example. Now, night 1, we take a feed. Night 2, we only take the data that's changed in Xero. There will have to be a point, and this is part of your process, if you are responsible, and it comes back to that responsibility question that we talked about earlier, if you are responsible for quarterly reporting the data into HMRC, there will have to come a point where you say to your client, and you lock down, Xero is locked down, so that your clients should no longer make any changes if they're entering the transactional data. So normally, collaboratively working in an online bookkeeping product, clients would make changes, and there would be a point where you would take over that data. And therefore we see that you would build a process whereby up to, say, so you've done the client's done the quarter work of work, and then you have effectively, I believe it is 30 days to then quarterly report. So you would need to lock down zero or get your client locked down in zero so that you can then use that data, get the last lockdown data and send that and report that into HMRC. Another question we had was that can the accounts production data flow into corporation tax? Yes, it can. It does that today. There was also a question around connectivity, accessing HMRC digital data today. I think there's a gentleman on the line who's been having problems with that. We will take your name and follow that through, because I know that some practices have had problems connecting to the digital tax account. It generally is to do with the authentication process, and maybe your practice login isn't quite working, or you've got the wrong registration that you're connecting through. I believe we have a help sheet for that, because a number of practices have had problems with that. So we'll look at that for you. Okay, any other questions? We will follow up through the answers, and look out in your inbox, and you would get a copy of the slides, the recording, and the questions. And thank you very, very much today for joining our webinar.